change the audio side if possible. Okay. Okay. Vinisha, Hemang, Dharya, Manat, Mukund, Jaivesh, Navya. I need all of y'all to switch on your videos. If you all have any issue, put it in the chat box that, I have this issue, so I'm not here. I don't want anyone here who is just left their computer screen on and gone somewhere else. Yeah, we need, okay, Dharya, that's all right. Other than that, if you don't have any reason, then I need your video on. Okay, Dharya, Vinish, all right. What about Manat, Mukund, and Jaivesh? Guys, what's the scene? All right, Jaivesh, no problem. Manat, Mukund. All right, Mukund. Manat, you're on a PC, but that shouldn't stop you from. Okay, you don't have video camera. All right, no problem. So, if you all don't have a video camera, I'm going to need this basic interaction from you all to know that you're all actually there. And it's not just you all have left it and gone. Vyomesh, can you switch on your camera, please? And Anushka Singh as well. Vyomesh, can you switch on your camera, please? If you are having any problem, Vyomesh, you can put in the chat box. Hello, Vyomesh. Some response already left. Okay. Falit, is it possible for you to switch on your camera?
Yeah, I'll be opening it in a bit. Just give me a minute.
All right, great. I mean, I'm pretty sure Falit will be there, so I need to ensure that he switches on his camera. Okay, so hey guys, I'm Ahan, and I'll be serving as a co-president for this council, along with Falit and J- Falit and can you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Hi guys, I'm Jayaditya Sharma. I'm the vice chairperson of this committee. Am I audible?
Very low, very low.
Yeah, there's some problem with my mic, so I'll just try to speak louder. So, guys, I'll be the vice chairperson for this committee, and along with Ahan Bhaiya and Falit. Hope to have a great time.
All right, great then. Okay, so before we start off with the session as such, we'll just have a little icebreaker session as to make you all a little familiar, since it's not going to be, if we don't want to make it very rigorous. So all one of you can just start off and introduce yourself. Maria, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. Hi, my name is Maria and I'm in grade 11. I reside in Delhi and I study at the Shivnada School, Noida, and I'll be representing the United Kingdom in this conference.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you. Sirat, what about you?
Hello everyone, I'm Sirat. I'm currently studying in Jayashree Periwal High School, Jaipur, and I'm in grade 11. I hope to have a great time with you.
Great. Nilay?
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Neil Joshi. I'm in 10th grade right now, and I study in the Palace School, and I'll be representing Saudi Arabia.
Okay, Anushka?
Hello, I'm Anushka. I'll be representing Tunisia. I study in Navrachna International School, Vadodara.
All right. Navya?
Hey everyone, I'm Navya. I study in Jayashree Periwal International School in Jaipur. I'm currently in Delhi and I'll be the delegate of Philippines.
All right. Arihan?
Hello everyone, my name is Aryan Badni. I'm in GPIS and I'm in 10th grade, and I'll be representing Malaysia. I'm the delegate of Malaysia.
All right. And by the way, if you don't mind me asking, I saw two people with the same logo. So what is it, that logo exactly?
That is basically our school thingy. We have a club of our school, and we have it right now.
All right.
That is why we have this.
Great. Hema?
Hi everybody, I'm Hemang. I'm a grade 10 student at St. Columbus School, and I'll be representing the delegate of India.
Okay. Now nice to see you, Falit. Looks like we're wearing a similar pattern. Me, Falit, and Jayaditya will introduce ourselves at the end. Vinisha?
Hi, I'm Vinisha. I am currently studying in Jodhamal Public School, Jammu, and I'm in 11th grade.
All right, Manat?
Hi, I'm Manat. I'm currently studying in grade 10th, and in this MUN, I'm the delegate of India.
All right, Mukul?
Hi, I am Mukun and I study in grade 10th and I'll be representing Indonesia.
Great. Jaivesh?
Hello everyone. I am Javesh. I'm currently representing Mexico, and I'm in 10th grade from Amritsar.
All right. And last but not the least, Vyomkesh among the delegates.
Hi, I'm Vyomkesh. I'm a passed out from GPIS 12th grade. Not exactly a passed out, but because the results haven't come out yet, but yeah, definitely I'll be a pass out. And
yeah, we are hoping for the same.
Yeah, I'll be representing Taiwan.
Okay, great. All right. So now I'll just introduce myself. I'm Ahan. I'm currently a third year at, I'll go to my fourth year again, hopefully, should go, at OP Jindal Global University. I love international law, love reading about it, love writing about it. And my specific interests lie in public international law, especially use of force and arbitration disputes. So yeah, I'll hand it over to Falit to introduce himself.
Yeah, guys, myself, Sijariya, I hope I'm audible. And I'm a first year student of like political science and economics at St. Stephen's College, Delhi. I too am pretty interested in international relations, diplomacy, and all of these things. Keep on writing a lot of articles, academic papers about the same. And this is primarily the reason. Like earlier, I too was planning on the law schools, but like I dropped from them and decided for like pursuing IR full-fledgedly. And that is why here I'm at St. Stephen's, and that be it.
All right, great.
Can we have Jayaditya, please? Jayaditya.
Oh, sorry, is it Jayaditya?
Yeah.
Sorry, bro, sorry. I didn't.
Hi guys, I am Jayaditya Sharma. I'm a grade 12 student, just come to class 12, and I study Jayashree Parivar High School. And I specifically enjoy committees such as National Security Council and United Nations Security Council. Basically, my inclination is towards national and international security concerns, and therefore I'd love to be part of this committee and look forward to have a great time with you guys.
Okay, great. Okay, guys. So at this MUN, we'll be following UNA USA. So, Falit, how do you want to go about this session? Because
first of all, yeah, I just had this slight concern. I mean, first of all, I mean, pardon me, I'm like not in my best of the time. Like, so presently I'm in hostel only, so you won't, I mean, be able to expect a lot of, I mean, dress, and like my room is kind of shuffled only. But yeah, most of it is not visible, so it's good. Otherwise, I had this one concern, Han. I just noticed like the delegate of Taiwan is present at the United Nations Security Council, whereas the Republic of China is, I mean, not basically in the United States system.
So I have not done the matrix. I assumed you decided to include them, but they shouldn't be here. So
exactly.
What do you want to do? I mean, at this point, do you want to change it right here, right now?
A possibility, maybe. I mean, because even as observer, Taiwan is actually, I mean, not invited to the UN. If it were, then I mean,
know. In a very
PRC would obviously
scenario,
take a strong step.
Yeah, China would boycott the meeting only. So
yeah,
we can probably tell the secretariat that we are going to change the allotment since it's impractical to have them in our committee.
Or if okay, let's ask Taiwan. No, if he is prepared, I mean, we can probably have an exception, though, like, but it would be difficult, slightly difficult.
Sure.
I mean,
I don't mind because probably again a fault on our side. We didn't confirm the matrix beforehand. So yeah,
the
Taiwan,
delegate of
what do you
Taiwan,
say?
can you please? What's your say on it?
Started preparing though, but it's up to you guys.
Okay. So, I mean, preferably, what we can do is like ask the secretariat to give him, like, show him the matrix and let's give him the priority to choose any of the country besides the one that have been allotted. Let's allow him that prerogative from our end, so that he is also not in a
Yeah,
at
that
a
works. That works.
disadvantage.
Yeah,
Cool.
that works. That works. So I'm sorry, my network just cut out. I just heard your last statement. I didn't hear what he said actually. So is he okay with changing it?
Yeah. He's okay with it, but he has like slightly started preparing. So he said that up to you guys. So let's go with the formal rules of procedure and everything. Now let it be like more realistic. Cool. So like
Perfect.
whatever like. So moving at like I would first kind of would appreciate if we like could get a head count. Like, is it like the first time delegates that we ask like the ROPs and all? How do you want to go? Like ROPs here or ROPs in the first session? Like the brief of them. Like, do you guys are basically how many of your first timers? I've never done an MU. Do we have a count of them? Can you just like put it in the chat because like I'm on the phone, I cannot see it. Maybe Ahan, are you on the laptop?
Yeah. Can you just raise your hands if it is your
if you
first
can
time
just raise
on
your
the
hand,
virtual
that
thing?
would be
All right, we have two first timers. So we'll just quickly brush through the basic rules of procedure, and then just move on to take doubts from everyone regarding whatever they want to ask. I think we can just proceed in that manner.
perfect. Work that way.
All right, so I can just kick off and start with it. Falit, if I mean, anytime you want to interject and say something, just go ahead.
Cool.
All right.
I'll majorly I'll like if you finish with the RPs, I'll just go forward and give them some research tips and all. Post that.
Perfect.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. So guys, again, since there are only two first times, I'm going to be rushing through a little bit. So if any of you don't understand anything, please just speak up and ask me. I didn't get this. I want to know about it. I will explain it again. And one more thing, there's no such thing as a stupid question, just questions that are not asked. So if you have any question, anything, feel free to ask throughout the session. All right. So I'll start off. So now in any session, the first thing that's done when the session starts is roll call is taken. Now, when the roll call is taken, you can either say present or present and voting. Now, this has a certain significance later on. If you say present, that means that you can refrain from voting later on. So if later there's a document that has come to vote and you want to just say abstain from it, you don't want to give a definite vote on it, you want to maintain a neutral stance on it, you can do that. But if you say present and voting, then you have to vote yes or no in the end when there's a document on the floor. So when you roll call, you have two options: present and voting. If you choose present, you can choose not to vote at the final document. If you choose present and voting, you have to vote for the final document. Yes, Siddharth, you have a question?
Sir, the thing that you explaining right now about the present and voting and in voting. So if the country is an observing country, so does it go same with that too, or like?
No. An observer country cannot vote in a Security Council. Only there are 15 member states, and only they are allowed to vote within a Security Council. So when voting goes on, it's the doors of the meeting closed for everyone other than the 15 members, and only the 15 members can vote on that particular document. So if you're not one of those 15 members, then you have to say present only. You don't have the option of saying present and voting since you will not be voting only.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right then. After that, after roll call is done, we establish the agenda. Now you have been given a provisional agenda. And again, different MUNs do it differently. Different executive boards try to do it differently. But I try to. I think Falit also does the same. We try to make it a realistic simulation as much as possible. So now what you have been given is a provisional agenda. It is not the final agenda. So when you all have a motion to set the agenda, you all set the final agenda. And the way you all word it is up to you. If you want to use words in a manner that suit your country better, you all can go ahead and do so. You all can word the agenda however you all want, up to however it favors you. Okay, so then the agenda is set. There are motions for setting the agenda. The agenda then gets set. One motion passes. If no motion passes, then there is no meeting. One motion passes, and then we go into discussion. Now, once you go into discussion, there is something known as the general speakers list which starts. Now, what is the general speakers list? It is basically a list of speakers wherein anyone can speak. There's a list, of course. Anyone can put their names on this list, and you all can talk about anything pertaining to the agenda. So, if you all want to talk about any your country's contribution, what your country believes about it, anything of the sort you want to say, you all can go ahead and do it. What I would recommend that you structure your arguments in a manner that has an assertion, an analysis, and a conclusion. Where you make an assertion about a point, you analyze that point, and then you give a conclusion for that particular point. Instead of just reading. And again, one more thing I recommend is that when you all are giving speeches, don't read out from a document. Uh, even we do a little bit research. We know what documents are available online, and we know you're reading it out. Rather, form your own points and form new innovative points based on what you believe your country's policies are. I will be talking a little about the country's policies as well within this section. Uh, when you look at your country's policies, especially that foreign policy, I would say you divide it into two parts: political policy and economic policy. Don't look at it as simply as country A does not like country B, so I will just never support them. Divide it into political policy and economic policy. If you can divert committee in a manner wherein the political objective and economic objective is being met, then your foreign policy has been fulfilled. So just try to fulfill these two things, and try to look at it from a wider perspective than just from a narrow, okay, I don't like this country, I'm not going to work with them perspective, but rather, okay, I am working with them, but I'm fulfilling one of my objectives by doing that, which might not have been something that was done before in the traditional UNSC meetings. So again, you all are expected to take a new perspective to the whole thing. Okay, now this was a little about the how to proceed with it, but in the general speakers list, you all can speak about anything. And at the end, if you all have time, you all can yield the time. Now, what exactly is the yield? Basically, once you have been given time, you will have been given a particular period of time to speak. If you all don't use all of it and you have some time left, you can yield it however you want. So you can give that time however you want. Now, there are a few types of yields. The first one being yield to the executive board, which means that we absorb the time and we continue the next person. The next one being yield to points of information. Now, point of information is basically a question. So let's say you have 90 seconds, you have 30 seconds left. You can yield it to points. You can, if you give it to the EB, we'll absorb the time. If you yield it to points of information, we'll allow other people to ask you questions based on the time you have left. So if you have 30 seconds left, most probably we'll allow other people to ask 3 questions. Just approximate. This is based on the EB's discussion, but just approximate of how normally we proceed. Now, the last yield is also yield to another delegate. Now, in this particular yield, there is a prerequisite for this. That is, the other delegate needs to be previously informed that you are going to be yielding time to them. Only if they have been informed, then you can yield time to them. So there are 3 types of yields to sum up. Yeah. Okay. Can anyone raise their hand and tell me what are the 3 types of yields?
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, I just mentioned 3 types of yields. So can someone just tell me what they are? Yeah, Manat.
First one is to yield the time to executive board, and then point of information and another delegate.
All right, perfect. Great. I can see that you are paying attention. All right. So now within the committee, okay, before I move ahead, are there any questions until this point? Any questions?
How long is our GSL speech supposed to be?
All right, great question. Default time is 90 seconds, but you all can change it based on your decision. So at the start of committee, once GSL has started, the default time is set to 90 seconds, but you all have the right to raise a motion to change the time. So let's say if you all want to have it for 120 seconds or for maybe more than that or less than that, you all can raise a motion for that. All right, now we have points. So what are points? Now points are something you can use Uh, the motion for a GSL speaker time is just motion to set the GSL speaker time to. That's it. Uh, there is a set verbatim you have to use for a motion to move into a moderated caucus, which I'll provide to you once we come to that part. Okay, so now points. Now points is something that you can raise all throughout committee. There's something that's available to you. They have a set order in which they can be raised. So does anyone here know which point is the most disruptive? So based on their disruption points are given preference. So which point always has the most preference, or it always has to be recognized first? Yes, Hema.
I think point of order.
No.
Personal privilege.
Yes. Vidhan, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Next time, please raise your hand. But yeah, you're right. It's the point of personal privilege. So a point of personal privilege can normally interrupt a speaker as well. In a physical MUN, a point of personal privilege is used if you're feeling cold or you're feeling warm and you want that AC temperature to be changed, or you want to go to the washroom. Here, of course, I can't stop you from going to the washroom or change your AC temperature. So here you can only use it if you can't hear someone. Like in the start, how I couldn't hear. Uh,
Can we, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt, can we use the point of personal privilege just like to ask the speaker to repeat themselves or that also?
Yes, yes, of course you can. You can use that. Like in the start, my co-member of the EB, and then I told him, can you just get your mic closer or something like that. So in similar cases, if you can't hear someone, you can raise a point of personal privilege and say, I can't hear them, and so I want to use this point. It's very simple. So that is point of personal privilege. And again, just because this can interrupt a speaker does not mean that when someone is speaking, you start screaming point of personal privilege, just throw them off. We'll be following a more civilized format. We just type in pop in the chat box like this. If they're speaking, you just type in pop. Either me or Falit will be there to recognize you. So we'll say, okay, we'll ask the speaker to stop speaking, and we'll say, okay, as a point of personal privilege, we'll take that. Next, we have a point of parliamentary inquiry. Now, if there is a question regarding procedure, like you don't know how to raise a motion, or if you want to ask, okay, what is the current speakers list, or anything related to procedure, you can raise a point of parliamentary procedure. I have a question regarding this. Okay. Also, do keep in mind, do not misuse this to try to gain points, because you don't get any points for points of parliamentary inquiry, and a lot of delegates try to misuse these. But again, only if you have a genuine procedural doubt, then you can raise it. Now, now the next point is a point of information. Now, this is the point where you get most of your marks on, which is basically about asking questions. And as you know, you yield time when someone yields time to points of information, you get the chance to ask them. That's basically it. Now, the last point being point of order. Now, a point of order is basically when the executive board makes a mistake. Like, for example, if I recognize say, you know what, India, you come up first. So then that's a mistake on my part, because I should not have recognized India first. Then you can raise point of order. India was not recognized first. USA was, you raise a point of order in that manner. In certain circuits, a point of order is also used for factual inaccuracies. So if there is a fact committees, I again don't know for its opinion on this, but in whichever committees I chair, I always tell the delegates to decide. Y'all can, if we will go with the default not having point of orders on factual inaccuracies, if you all want to have it, you all can raise a motion for it to introduce this particular point in on factual inaccuracies in committee, and if it passes, then we will start having it. So if you all want to have it, you all can raise a motion anytime to the committee for having that point. Yes, Maria.
So I have a question. So during, so how exactly are we going to send POIs via chat, email, or personal chat?
All of them will have to be sent on the WhatsApp group. Yeah, there's one more thing. Every single thing that you do has to be on the everyone WhatsApp group. Everything has to be open for everyone to see. So if you're sending a chat from, let's say, USA to China, it will be on the WhatsApp group with the format to, from, via EB, tagging all the executive board members, and then your content. That's a question or your answer. and upper point of information or answer. Just write that clearly, put it out there, so that we also have a clear understanding. If you all don't follow this basic format, and if you all don't tag the executive board, then it will not be recognized as a cheat. Maria, there is a clarifier question.
Yeah, I have one more. If that's fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
So will the EB entertain POIs during mod caucuses if there's time back to yield? No? Okay.
No, there are no yields during a moderate caucus. All points are suspended, but since it's academic simulation, we'll be taking points of personal privilege if someone can't hear something or something. That's what happens. Yes, hey mom, you can go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Right. So one thing I wanted to ask, so for the related to point of orders, actually my internet went out. I was not able to hear. So are we having points of order for factual inaccuracies or not?
No, I have left that up to committee. As a default, we're not having it. If you all want to introduce it, you all can do so by raising a motion that we want to introduce points of orders of actual inaccuracies. You'll get a majority vote on it, and then you can go ahead with it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Anushka, you can go next.
The point of order is, can we raise it in the Zoom meeting as well, or only through WhatsApp? Sorry, the point of information. Point of order.
Oh, points of information, you'll have to raise it on the floor of committee. If it's asked in the open. If it's via chit, then you obviously send it via chit. The marking will obviously be more for points of orders that are raised verbally than via chit, because at the end of the day, MUN is testing your public speaking abilities, and how you whole reason we are having this is so that you all come out and start speaking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Could you please explain the format? It's again very simple. To, from, uh, via EB and the content. That's it. And upper point of information or answer written. Also, it seems like Sirat is like in another world only. I who yeah. Sorry, just something I noticed. Anyway, Manat has asked me a question. Can you explain about the so just this only, Manat, that to, from, via executive board, and you tag all the people. All right. Are there any other questions, or I'll move ahead? All right, great. Okay, so now the motions. So this is basically termed as a moderated caucus or an unmoderated caucus. That's informal debate. Now, when you look at when I talk about informal debate, it is basically GSL is termed as a formal debate, and a moderated caucus and unmoderated caucus is termed as your informal debate. So the motion would be the delegate of, let's say, USA. The delegate of USA would like to suspend formal debate and motions to move into moderated caucus for the topic XYZ for time period being 10 minutes, for example, and individual speaker's time being 60 seconds, for example. So this is the way you raise a motion. All right. So now, why do you raise a moderated caucus? Now, let's say that in the GSL, you all have a lot of countries have given their views, and they have established what they want to debate on in particular. Now, how do you all make sure everyone gives their view on that one particular point? So use a moderated caucus for it. So let's say that the agenda was how to make butter chicken better. So then you can probably have a GSL on it is, will chili make the butter chicken better? Which is basically a sub agenda within it that all of you can give your view on. Okay, there's a question by my friend Japan. Okay, you can just ask them to send it. But anyway, during a crisis or resolution, delegate wants to write a check to the share. Should we do it via WhatsApp? Everything has to be open on the WhatsApp group, be it a point of information chat, being a substantial chat also. Now, a lot of people, a lot of executive boards ask for substantial chats to be sent to them personally. I do not follow that practice. If you have something to send it out in the open for everyone to see, and then other people can engage with you on what you have sent as well. That'll help for the debate. And this is going to be a traditional security council, so there's not going to be any crisis. So that's definitely not going to be there. And then, so I have just spoken about a moderated caucus. Now an unmoderated caucus. An unmoderated caucus is when you all want to just informally talk amongst yourself, maybe back channel, negotiate, come upon a certain decision. So in this point again, you just say motion to suspend formal debate and move into an unmoderated caucus. This has no per speaker time or topic. This is a total time. I will be putting forth the verbatim for both of these in the chat box. So you all can probably copy paste it and keep it for future reference. And for the people who already know it, um, it's all sorted anyways. So yeah. Okay. So this is again pretty much about basic UN USA rules of procedure. So do you all have any questions on it? Anything that was explained till now? All right. Okay. Seeing none, we will. So now, I guess Falit wanted to talk to you about research. I'll just give you all a brief about what I look at for research as well. I personally would not recommend that you all use any news website other than your country's news website. Only trust your country's news website, because if they, that too, when I say countries, I mean government website, because if your government has put out a statement, then you all can blindly follow that because that is your policy. Secondly, look at university reports rather than anything else, especially ones that are published by Cambridge, Oxford. These look at legal arguments and they analyze the issue. So that is definitely somewhere you can get great knowledge from. This is basically what I do for research. Whenever I have a topic, I go just open Oxford scholarly articles on international law and I go through them to find out more about the agenda, and it gives you a basic brief of everything. Again, news sources will not be accepted as a valid source in this committee. What will be accepted are only UN reports, and if you're a country, then your own country's reports. So only your country's reports and UN reports as valid sources. And for your legal arguments, you can of course look into all these university reports like Oxford, Cambridge, and such renowned universities and their reports. We will, in this committee, we will not be accepting any news source, be it BBC, Al Jazeera. All of them have some inherent bias. Yes, Sierra, you have a question? No, not. Oh, sorry, not even the Reuters. Yeah, Sierra.
So suppose any official statement of suppose USA makes some suppose some official statement says that China China actually created the coronavirus or something like that, which is not relevant to the committee, just as an example. So will that also be considered valid?
For USA, yes. If you're the delegate of USA and your government has released a particular statement, you can use that to rely upon and say that my government has released a statement for this, so we are fully backing. I mean, that is our complete backing for us for the current statement, the council. That is totally fine.
Right.
Okay. So, are there any other questions? Otherwise, Farid also had some recommendations to give to you all. Yeah, Maria.
Will the EVP also accepting like UN sourced articles or website, like whatever is on the
UN, so not UN source. So if especially because a lot of news articles twist what has been actually said. They say UN report says something like this when the report might not say anything. So if you all are sending us a source, it has to be either UN news or the report itself. You just tell us paragraph, report this, send us a link, paragraph number this. This is where I got my information.
So it can be a UN report, right?
Yes.
Is it compulsory to share our sources?
One second, Aryan, raise hand feature. There are people who have raised hand and are waiting.
Yeah, another question. Will the EBB will you guys be accepting position papers from us?
No, as if you want to write one and send it, definitely. I personally always tell people to send one. I don't mind reading one, though it's not required. And again, when if you do plan to write one and send it only on what you plan to achieve from this committee session, or nothing else is required.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. After that, Anushka, you had raised your hand.
I had the same question for the position paper, but If we send the position paper, do we acquire some extra marks, or will it just be for
No,
reference? No, right?
no, but it does, but it will definitely help you because
Okay.
what is the reason a position paper is sent? It is so that it's shared with everyone, and so they get an idea of what your points are, what your main points are, and they can come to negotiate and debate with you on those points. So it will definitely help you in committee if you do submit one. Yeah, Arihan's your question.
Is it necessary to share our resources and research with you all?
Yeah, if you cite a report and the executive would ask you, can you please send us the report, then you have to send it. And when we say send it to us, you never mean unless specifically say in a personal chat, always you have to share it with everyone. If you are mentioning a report, make sure you have it with you to send it on the group because we might ask you anytime to share the report with us. Yeah, Maria, you have another question?
I'll
All
just
right,
lower
then,
my
great.
hand.
All right, then, great. Is Falit here? I can't see him. I guess he's probably facing network issues. Jaydeep, if even you have, again, I'm sorry if that's not your right name. I can't seem to get it. Deepest apologies on my part. If even you have any recommendations for all the, you can give them. Yeah, Sirat.
Sir, would you be moving on to the documentation now, or there will
No,
be?
we'll be talking about documentation depending on how committee goes. If we do not have, since we don't really have all the 15, I don't think we have the 15 members of the SC, so we'll be deciding whether we'll even be having a draft resolution or not, since we require at least a minimum of 9 members to be present for a draft resolution to go into voting. So that is not there, then we'll probably not, why waste time in explain the resolution procedure if you're not having a resolution. Might as well just tell you all what other forms of documentation you all can explore.
All right, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
will there be any press statements or memorandums in the committee?
No. If there is no resolution, then we'll probably ask her to submit working papers. That'll probably be the way we go.
Right.
Yeah. Hema?
I had a question relating to the position papers. Can you
Yeah, go
explain
ahead.
like the format of a position paper and what is it really about?
So as I said, position papers are not required in this committee. If you want to send one, then you all can go ahead and send it because it will help you in committee any which ways. It will help other people understand what are your major points they can come negotiate and debate on with you. So you all just write your major objectives from committee and you put it up on the group, on the WhatsApp group.
So is there like any particular format, or is it just your country name, position paper, and then you write what all do you expect or the
Yeah, just
objectives out?
country name, agenda, position paper.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Vyomesh, go ahead.
Sir, how long will this session go? Because I have a very urgent workshop on around 8 o'clock.
It'll end when it ends, I guess, because it won't do for very long because I think now just Falit is giving us some advice and then we are pretty much ending.
All right.
Cool. So, like, are you done, Ahan?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you enjoyed thoroughly because Ahan very beautifully explained all the ROPs to you all, and I feel that they were mostly clear to you all. So what I have to say is not about the ROPs since they have already been thoroughly cleared. What I would tell you about is slightly about the research process, whatever you would be following, and the foreign policy things, which you need to keep in mind. So a lot of you have gotten very interesting portfolios, which indeed have very strong standings with relation to the South China Sea issue, and specifically with relation to China as well. So now moving forward, what is very, very important is when you delve into this researching wala thing, you must all be thinking about referring to various sources. First of all, and first ground rule is do not consider Wikipedia as a basic influential or like kind of groundwork to any of your research and understanding of any of the topic. This is something very, very clear. One. Second, when you're researching, you would find multiple videos talking about multiple aspects of the issue. You would find on basically YouTube, you would find multiple articles. Remember one thing very, very strongly, I'm telling you all, remember to read articles. And so like there are two processes basically through which you need to research. Like the first layer of research is to form your own independent understanding of the issue of the conflict. Second layer of research is basically to understand the side or basically the perspective of the country that you're representing. So for the first layer of research, you basically read articles and videos, etc., from both sides. The ones that are justifying China as well as the ones that are against China. Mostly, since you're living in India, almost 90% content they would be seeing would be anti-China. That is Western influence. So, like most of the content, whether you'd be seeing, would basically put China in a bad light, tell you and explain to you why China is infiltrating the rights of people, why it is not working according to the rules-based international order. Everything of that sort you would find in most of the content that you would be reading. It in essence does not mean that it's wrong, but it is from a particular perspective. Second, I expect you all at the same time, I suggest you all to go to pro-China, in essence, basically Chinese government-owned websites such as Global News, Global Times and something like that, and CGTN and all that stuff. So you can check out China's state-owned websites and media outlets and check what do they say on South China Sea. Check out what exactly are China's statement on South China Sea conflict. What is its basic like ascendancy or base on which it builds up its argument, say the 9-dash line and all those things. So you basically need to go through all of it. When you're basically forming your own opinion, I'm talking about the first level of research. So you go through all sides of the coin. Also, to basically point out over here, very interesting thing is since all of you are aware about media outlets, research and everyone, let this be very, very clear something to you, not just for this MUN or beyond that also, that almost all media houses, almost all writers, authors, researchers have a particular bias or a kind of tilt towards a particular side of an issue. So when you're researching, be very, very mindful of the bias through which a writer or an author is writing or a publication is working. A lot of publications in the international sphere are either on the side of a particular ideology or for other matter are owned by some country. If I were to give an example, all of you must have heard of Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera, I don't know how many of you, can you all just raise your hand who all basically knew that Al Jazeera was owned by the Qatari government. It's not even like some independent news outlet or something which is providing a perspective, or something that is owned by a government and promoting a particular perspective that basically fulfills the strategic aims and goals of Qatari media, of the Qatari government and regime. You're getting my point? Similarly, when you go to YouTube, they have AJ Plus, which is in essence Al Jazeera Plus. So that is also like kind of providing you a perspective and like exactly, yeah, they have interviews of the Muslim Brotherhood. So obviously, like, so this is which is something kind of banned in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. So you'd find that they would like try to present in very quirky formats the issues, the briefs, and you would like find them very interesting. But be very, very mindful that they are owned by some government. Similarly, BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, is owned by the British government. They follow particular ideology. Even in essence, BBC does not tiptoe the line of the current conservative British regime because it's like more of Labour and left dominated, but still it has a particular ideology that maybe even against the UK government, the current UK government is particularly aligned to some way. Similarly, whether you talk about the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or the New York Times, all of them in essence have a particular opinion and way of presenting facts. What is most important for you is to read all sides of the coin and then formulate your own opinion. You read facts from all sides and then formulate your own opinion or groundwork on the basis of which you assess an agenda or a conflict. Because a lot of times we kind of go into the flow of reading the first article, and that first or second article that we read on any issue, that forms the bedrock of our understanding. All articles are based on certain understanding, assumptions, and strategic goals that they try to push forward. Any article or opinion piece, when it is written for an end goal in mind. It is basically trying to force a perspective. Even when we as writers write something, why are we writing? Why would someone read it? It is because we are presenting a perspective, a view, an opinion that might be unique, that we wish that people read. So when we do that, our entire write-up is basically focusing on putting up facts, propositions, arguments that are furthering the objective with which the article of piece has been written. That's 700, 800, 1200 words that have been allotted to us. We write with that perspective in mind. So to expect that any single individual article or say video would be self-encompassing and covering all the things that you should know would be a very huge myth. So keep this thing very importantly in mind, that you keep working on it. You like kind of research from all sides of the perspective. This is the bedrock. Second step of research, when you're researching from your country's proposition, just go and delve into the news or media outlets or the MEM, Ministry of External Affairs statements, or whichever the ministry called, the foreign ministry called in the country have been allotted, and their statements and opinions on directly the South China Sea. Second thing, now if you're not able to find direct opinions and statement on the South China Sea, which is very issue which is very likely, considering what? Considering the fact that most countries try to be neutral. If they are not directly involved, they try to create a safe distance from very controversial issues. Just to that matter, even on Israel-Palestine, even our government, which was very much forced to give a statement, it took a neutral stance. But generally on South China Sea, India doesn't speak directly. But that does not mean that India doesn't have a stand. When you have been given this particular topic and is speaking in the United Nations Security Council, you would come with a stand. So how would your stand be governed? How would your foreign policy be assessed by us? This, in essence, would be governed on the basis of how does your country have relations with China. So there are some of the African countries out here. Some of you have been allotted African countries. So a lot of African countries have good relations with China in terms of investment that comes through the Belt and Road Initiative. There are other countries that have good relations in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative investments that are coming through. Be mindful of those things. All of that comes into account when foreign policy is formulated. If someone is giving you money, you don't just go and bang against their agenda. You're getting my point. You try to maintain a safe distance. You also don't go just straight away against the United States or something like that, but you maintain a safe distance, or even if you're not distancing yourself, you maintain a neutral stance, or you have kind of bias in favor or against a country through which your entire statements are kind of made. Even if you look at domestic policies, whether left or right, there are problems on both ends. What the left does is like target the issues on the right and keep silent when the left, extreme left does something wrong. Or when you talk about the right, they target what the extreme left does, while when the same extreme right does something, they keep mum. You're getting my point? That's how you put perspectives into international politics as well. So for that matter, Pakistan might Pakistan or Saudi Arabia might go out and target some country for say some kind of wrongs against the Muslim community. Whereas if the same thing happens in China, a lot of them would keep mum. Why? Because investments flow through it. Why? Because they're a big market. They're the biggest market in the world. Saudi Arabia and the Gulf a lot, it depends on like China as the market for its oil. China does have alternatives as well. There's like Iran, and it's slowly building it up as well. So you try to maintain a safe distance. You don't speak much. Even if you talk about the current things scenario, every country, every statement is fairly calculated. If I were to give examples, so recently, most of you, if you're following international geopolitics and like conflicts, France, there was this beheading of this guy by a teacher on like Charlie Hebdo cartoon, which like this teacher had shown in the class, and there was this beheading. It was done by, if I'm not wrong, a Chechen refugee. Chechens are basically an area in Russia, so which they were demanding independence in the past. Who came out and then France took some actions. Who came out against it? It was not Saudi Arabia, which is generally presumed as the leader of the Muslim Ummah, but the ones that came out strongly against it were Turkey, Iran. Why? Because Turkey and Iran are currently vying for leadership of the Muslim Ummah. Ummah is basically the definition for the Muslim world across the like countries that are like Muslim nations. So Turkey and Iran came forward and very staunchly talked about it. Turkish President Erdogan, he called Emmanuel Macron a madman and something like that stuff. Whereas Saudi Arabia, where the two of the holiest shrines of Islam reside, the Makkah and the Medina, they stayed silent. Why? Because they have friendly relations with France. They want to build upon them, and they do not agree with the ideas that like Turkey and Iran are doing. Similarly, there are organizations, and everything works in that manner. Even if you look at Israel,
very sorry to interrupt you when you are in such an amazing flow. Just one person is asking me how many mods does the EB think is appropriate. It's completely your discretion. You all are the ones who are driving committees. You all decide how many moderation boxes you all want to have. Yeah, again, sorry for interrupting that great flow. You can continue.
Okay. No issues, no issues. So I'll continue. Even if you talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict for that matter, when you see about it, so a lot of this has been like went into a dichotomy where people are forming opinions on the basis of religion. I'm currently in a minority, like if I'm right now in the hostel of St. Stephen's College, which is a minority-run institution. The public opinion even here is divided between Christians, most of the Christians being in favor of say Israel and Palestine, and Muslims kind of being in favor of Palestine. That's how people are kind of judging issues. But when you go out and see the Gulf that has historically been the leader of the Muslim Ummah, say the Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc., or maybe Kuwait and all, Jordan, they have been silent. There have been not been a single protest in these countries against what is happening in the Israel-Palestine thing. Whereas what is happening is the left lobby and everything protests happening from UK to US and Turkey and Iran, all those statements coming from there. Why? Again, because geopolitics weighs into it. The organization that is in target, that is Hamas, is basically an Iranian proxy. So again, Iran and Saudi Arabia don't go down well. So that is how you weigh in issues. A lot of countries take in investment from China. A lot of countries are working under the influence of China. If you were to expect that, okay, from your primary research, you find out that, okay, what China is doing is aggressive expansionism and is trying to get into the areas of other nations, which is not wrong, which should not happen and all that stuff. You decide on that fact and you feel that this is something of a correct opinion. It is against the rules-based international order. But then again, why would, so even if your primary research points at this, but your secondary research, that is your country's opinion, is slightly favorable of China, you need to come down on your words, basically give some statements that give some space to China, or maybe kind of you basically in the diplomatic language, you allow space for them. A lot of times you generally do not target. Similar, that is not just the case of how diplomacy works. Even in like very anti nations, even the nations which are slightly anti to each other avoid getting direct attacks. If I were to again give an example, you all know that India, China are not in very good phase right now. Post the Doklam crisis and then what happened in Ladakh and all, or after all of these things, India and China are not in the very good of phases. But what happens again? There is like increasing reports coming out of torture being happening with the Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang province of China. Hong Kong, where there was law, this problem with the law happened. There is aggressivism against Taiwan. No issues, Vyomkesh. Cool, bye. So has India taken a stance or said anything on these issues or targeted China or talked about Uyghur Muslims? No, it hasn't, because it doesn't want to antagonize China, like have direct interference. It's dealing with its own issues. It's trying to deal in a bipartisan manner, issues with relation to border conflict or investment. It is having its own mechanism, but it avoids any direct statement with reference to China in these kind of situations. Whatever statements they have are very, very clearly and appropriately worded. And in a manner, if we're to say, like, you look at words, the words that are in parlance or that are being circulated and written in documents are very much a symbolism of how the narrative is going on in the world. So if you talk about the word Indo-Pacific, you must have all heard of the word Indo-Pacific in the past sometime. The word that was in parlance a decade ago, or for quite some decades, was Asia-Pacific. But why is Indo-Pacific being promoted? This terminology. Most of the writers today, which belong to the United States, the experts from the United States of America, India, and other this league, they use the word Indo-Pacific. Why? Because this is seen as a zone that excludes China. So it's like like kind of protection, rule-based international order, and Indo-Pacific. All these things, the terms are utilized from a particular perspective. Even the term rules-based international order. Today I was hearing to this like press briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs on the G7 and whatever happened. So the word that are being used, like rules-based international order, these are words that are being constructed in opposition to China. So any country that is pro-China would genuinely try to avoid the reference to such terms, whereas if it's like some anti-China lobby, they would try to insert these words and like basically try to utilize these words and terminologies in the documents, the draft, the working papers, etc. So the word game and how you play it is also something that we would have our eyes on. Even if you look at it, countries such as Russia and China have come out and given statements even against the usage of such words. So I hope you all keep every such thing in mind. And with this manner and keeping in mind like all the kind of ideologies, perspectives, and matters and inclination with which the content has been written. And then you do your primary research, your secondary research, formulate your opinions, and come out well researched in the committee. Also, I apologize for the speed with which I was like kind of rushing through. I don't know how much you all could get it. I have this a slightly bad habit of like speaking a bit fast. Plus, like my dinner time was happening, so really sorry for that. Was I audible to all of you? And like, did you guys understood what I was speaking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That was a amazing. I guess it can be called a lecture series only by Falit. I know one more thing that definitely should be kept in mind, as Falit rightly said. There are some terms we specifically used as you can call them propaganda. So make sure you don't end up using those terms which are used as propaganda against you in committee, because I mean that'll just be very. I mean it'll seem that you haven't done any research at all on your part. Then I mean that being said, I think we're pretty much done. Anyone has anything to add or say? Otherwise, we can end the session. Also, Jayaditya, I hope I've gotten it right this time. Perfect, perfect. We have the recording as well, so we'll be sharing that on the group, and you all can access that, and everyone else can access that as well.
Yeah, one more thing. Like, I just request once more, everyone, please. Those who haven't yet introduced yourself by night, I will like. I have this habit of sharing all the contacts of the delegates, whoever introduced themselves. So I just like keep them in my phone with their like cities and everything. So in case you need to contact me anytime later or something like that. So I would appreciate if those who haven't yet introduced themselves, please do. Because I'd like by night or something like that, I'd like save all those contacts. So I hope that works, because MUNs are a great work at networking and connections. So they help you each other later in well. So I just suggest to you all as well to save the contacts of all the delegates, whether they are from your school or different school or something like that. MUN contacts do help a lot of times. They turn out very useful in terms of various aspects and opportunities. Thank you, guys. Also, yeah, that is it.